YouTube universe. What's going on, all my hitmen and Harley Quinns? You know who it is. It's your favorite mother freaking role model, the Buddhist Wusan with an attitude, Hitman Thornton for Raw Reaction T Vizzle, or you can just refer to me as Wookie Claus. How badass is this? Look at it, check it. You know y'all jealous. You know you is. Anyway, so let's get right to it with the Mandalorian, episode 7. And as we already know from the last episode, they're on their way to get Migs Mayfield, Big Bill Burr's character. Because y'all remember he was in the first season when the Mandalorian went on the mission with him and this other crew to break somebody out. Things went awry. But he and the other two, Mando, end up leaving them locked up. So anyway, he's on this prison planet that's basically a scrap heap and doing his time. But they go there to get him. And Cara Dune, uses her new Republic credentials as a marshal to get him out to come work for them so they can have him help them find Moff Gideon, find out where he is. So he's all, surprised and like, okay, where are you taking me? What's going on? Because Cara Dune ain't saying much to him. And, they took the Slave One ship, of course. And as they're walking to the ship, you see Boba Fett, Fennec Shand get off. And but at first, he kind of like, whoa. He saw Boba Fett, and he was like, oh, okay. At first, I thought you was somebody. I thought you was the other person I knew. I thought you was somebody I knew. And, of course, soon follows, Manny comes walking off. And then he kind of smiles like, oh, shit. Basically, shit his pants, seeing him. He was like, hey, what's up, Manny? What's going on? How you living? It was all good? So basically saying, hey, we need you to help find Moff Gideon's ship. So you rolling with us or you can stay here. So what's going on? So, and Cara Dune saying, hey, I bent a lot of rules to get you to roll with us. So what's going on? Come on. And you can see Bill Burr's character. Migs is like, okay, do I go with him or do I want to stay here? Because he's looking at them and looking back at the scrap heap, and he obviously goes with him. So they're on the ship, flying to the destination. That's kind of cool. They're in the Slave One ship, and you see it rotating as they're sitting still. That was pretty badass. So they're discussing that, okay, we need you to help us find the Moff Gideon ship. And he's like, hey, I just can't find it. I need to be at an Imperial terminal. So he said, okay, we can go to this planet Morak. And they're like, there's nothing on Morak, but no, it's like a mining facility. And he's letting them know, hey, they're mining something there. And they find out they're mining, make sure I pronounce this correctly. I got my notes. Radonium, which is very volatile, explosive stuff. So, smash cut, they get to the planet. And they start figuring out how they're going to do this to get inside. And they need to get to a terminal. And the terminal they need to use goes by face recognition in order to operate it. So, obviously, Boba Fett can't go in there because he basically said, well, let's just say they're going to recognize my face. Obviously, because he used to do dirt for him back in the day. Fennec Shand can't because she's still got a warrant out for her, And, of course, Cara Dune can't. And so Bill Burr is like, okay, I'm going in by myself. But no, Manny says, I'll go in with you. So they hopped on one of those big, huge, like juggernaut tanks type vehicles that's carrying the Rhydonium in. So they ended up jumping on one. Cara Dune gets inside, knocks the drivers out, takes them out with ease. And so they ended up, it's kind of very interesting because, Manny says that he wasn't going to show his face, but he ends up, switching outfits. And it's kind of slick, though, because he ends up putting on the troopers that were driving the vehicles. They wearing helmets and all that. So he ends up putting the helmet on, still got his face covered, which is kind of cool. And it's kind of funny you hear Bill Burr's character putting on their outfits, and he's up there saying, man, these things, kind of wet and, smelly and all that. So that's kind of interesting because you always wondered if those things, probably smell not very good because the troopers are always in it. They're probably sweating up a storm. Who knows? So anyway, they drive. They get the transport. They start driving, and you see Miggs Mayfield, Bill Burr's character, is making a little small talk with Manny, and trying to say, we're the same, and why do you gotta always why can't you take the helmet off? Is it you can't take the helmet off, or did you can't show your face with is it? And like I said, he's saying that we're the same, we all do dirt, we all got that line, but we all cross that line when it comes to getting done what needs to be done. And, Manny says we're not alike. So this is going on, which is pretty interesting conversation, He kind of, goes into depth more about Bill Burr's character. He's still being a little asshole, but hey, that's what he do. Anyway, they cruise through this little village. You see all these, poor people just run down, and you can see kids on the side, and they just staring at him. And Manny's obviously, thinking back when he was, young like that, and a foundling and all. So Bill Burr's character's like, hey, Republic, Empire, this is all the same to these people. We're just invaders. So they continue cruising on, and next thing you know, they hear a little thing going on the radio with the other transports that there's some stuff going on, there's commotion, and then next thing you know, there's a big explosion. And they're like, what the hell is going on? What's up? What's going on? And then there's another explosion because of another transport, and you hear that, you don't know what's going on. Then next thing you know, they start getting tailed by these bunch of pirates on this little fat hovering ship-like thing. When he said pirates, I was wondering if it was the pirates from I can't remember if it was Star Wars Rebels or Clone Wars, of these pirate-like dudes. That was pretty slick, but it wasn't them. So anyway, they try to go aboard, they get aboard the transport, and they basically have these little charges. They're trying to blow up the iridium. But Bill Burr's character can't drive too fast because it's iridium explosives is unstable. So you got to drive at a certain pace to keep it stable. So anyway, these pirates get aboard. They try to, put the detonators in there to blow it up. Of course, Manny gets aboard, gets up top, takes them out, and of course his gun runs out of ammo, which I found that very interesting. I guess laser guns do run out of ammo. So anyway, he starts fighting hand-to-hand combat, so we get to see some Manny get some hand-to-hand combat action, just like we saw Boba in the last episode. So Manny got some skills, hand-to-hand wise. He can get down and dirty too, which was kind of cool. So he ends up taking a lot of them out, real slick, like using their spears. Kind of makes you kind of like foreshadowing how he's going to handle the Beskar spear, when he goes against Moff Gideon, if he does. So that's going to be very interesting. So anyway, he takes them all out, and they're getting close to the destination at the refinery. But then more and more of the pirates start showing up, and just as you think, it's going to be a tough one for them, TIE fighters show up, take them all out. Some more troopers come out, shoot the pirates down. Bill Burr pretty much says, I never thought it would feel good to see the Empire, helps them out basically. Anyway, they get inside, they're being saluted because they're the only transport that made it. The other ones blew up. So they get out of the transport, start walking around. Everyone's, congratulating them and all that for making it. So they go to the mess hall to find one of the terminals they need to use. And Bill Burr, just as Bill Burr is about to go do it, he recognizes, I want to be able to pronounce his name right, Valen Hess, one of Bill Burr's commanders from back in the day when he was, Imperial sharpshooter. And played by actor Richard Brake, who also, I did not know this, was the Night King in Game of Thrones, the big, frozen dude. So I thought that was pretty slick. He was also in the Dark Knight, I believe, or was it Batman Begins? One of the movies he was in. And he also was in Doom with The Rock. So that's where I remember mostly from, Doom. I kind of liked and didn't like that movie, but it's a guilty pleasure for me to watch sometimes. But anyway, so he can't go in there because he's nervous if dude will recognize him. So Manny goes up to the terminal that looks like an ATM basically. So, but it doesn't recognize his face because he's wearing a helmet. So it's doing a countdown to it will be, terminated or whatever unless he gets the face recognition. So Manny takes off the helmet, shows his face, Adrian Pascal. So he's able to get the information. But the whole time he's over there, when he's walking over and he's doing the thing with the machine, Valen Hess, the commander, sitting at the table, is kind of just checking him out, wondering who he is. So he ends up walking over to him. He calls out for him. Then he walks over to him. And he starts talking to him, asking him all these questions, what's your operating number and all that kind of stuff. And he's not sure what to say. But Bill Burr character comes over in the nick of time, lets him know, hey, this is such and such, I'm such and such. He was working on some transport, so he kind of, lost his hearing in space on some mission, whatever. So anyway, he invites him to go have a sit down since they're the only transport that made it. They BS him back and forth. They'll say, hey, let's drink a toast or something. And Bill Burr, Miggs Mayfield character, says, how about we drink a toast to the Cinder, operation, which is basically a mission something that happened back in the day, Operation Cinder, a mission that happened back in the day, basically when the Emperor from Return of the Jedi died. This thing goes out to where basically, it's like a scorched earth thing. If he dies and he can't control, nobody can. So I guess he had all these like satellites or whatever at all these different planets set to blow up or burn everything, on all these different planets one by one if something were to happen to him. And Bill's Burr unit was on one of those planets. He was with his men that served. It was called Burning Khan. And he was like, the commander was sitting at the table, was like, oh, I was at Burning Khan. Yeah, I made some tough decisions that day. And Bill Burr was like, yeah, you did. I was there, nigga. I remember what all went down. And so Bill Burr is just breaking it down to him how, he lost his men and all those innocent people that are fighting for their freedom. Wasn't really good for them losing. And Commander was just cold about it. He was like, hey, they heroes to the Empire. Oh, well, it's for a greater good. We got stuff we're going to do. So whatever, we're still here. They're not. Sucks to be them. Just cold about it. And you can see Bill Burr's character just seething. He's boiling like this motherfucker. That's probably the reason why Miggs Mayfield, Bill Burr's character, probably just cut ties with the Empire because of that went down. He probably saw how cold-blooded they really didn't give a damn about their men. So that's probably why he cut ties with the Empire and bounced and went on his own. Because of that, possibly. That's what I'm guessing. That's probably why. And he just seethed and listened to this commander talk about that day, and he lost all his, his friends, his people in his unit. And it's like, this motherfucker. And you can see Manny's just looking back and forth like, oh, man. And he could tell something's about to go down. And he's like, oh, dude, don't. He shook his head at one point. And he's like, hey, let's drink a toast to the Empire. And they were like, oh, okay. And then, like Han Solo in the cantina with Greedo, Bill Burr shot first. Blow! Took him out. And Manny's looking, I'm like, what the hell, dude? And he's looking at him like, oh, well. And looks around and just starts blasting everybody in the room. So they're taking all these officers out in the room and troopers, and they escape out on the ledge of the building, walking along. And as these troopers are trying to get them, creeping out the windows or whatever, you have Cara Dune and Fennec Shan up on a ridge, sniping everybody. And I thought this was cool. I thought this was a very cool. You got two women, strong women, representation, taking dudes out, having their back, getting down with it. Okay, I thought that was very cool because I took it back. I was thinking, wow, this is pretty cool. You got women handling business. I like that. And it was necessary. It wasn't. They didn't do it just to put women in there and say, hey, see, women, we got. No. This was awesome. This was badass. I loved it. So anyway, they get up to the top of the roof, and of course, Boba Fett's slave ship comes, picks them up, and they jump aboard. And just as they're flying away, Bill Burr says, hey, hand me that rifle. and he snipes one of the Juggernaut tanks that has iridium in it, hits it, blows it up, which blows up the whole refinery, destroys the place. And he just looks at him and says, hey, I want to sleep better at night. Because that's the comment he made earlier when they're having the conversation. Hey, we all got to do something at one point just so we could sleep better at night. So that was pretty cool. And as they're making their escape, some TIE fighters come after them, and Boba Fett releases a seismic charge that Jango Fett did in, I believe, the Clone Wars prequels. That's bing! It's sick. It's badass. So anyway, so they end up landing. They're having a conversation, Mandy, Cara Dune, saying, now that was some, Cara Dune's like, yeah, that was some good shooting. And Bill Burr's like, hey, I just had to get some stuff off my chest. And so they was like, so Cara Dune already had issues with him because he worked for the Empire, so she didn't trust him to begin with. But once she saw what he did, she's like, okay, he's down. And she just looked at Manny and said, it's sad that Miggs died in that finery explosion. And Manny's like, yeah. So, and Miggs just like, Bill Burr's like, what? Really? Y'all gonna let me go? Okay. Deuces. And he's like, okay, let me get out here for y'all change your mind, So he ends up taking off, and they fly off. But first, she did say to Manny, all right, what's the next step? And then smash cut to Moff Gideon's ship, and Manny sent him a message. Pretty much the same message that Moff Gideon sent in the first season, saying you have something very important that's very important to me, that means more to me than you'll ever know, blah, blah, blah. So he pretty much is delivering the same message to him that he did. Basically saying, hey, I'm coming for him. I'm coming for my homie. You would trust me. You ain't ready for this. So, and that's how the episode ended. I know I was long-winded on this one, but this was a good episode, especially with Bill Burr, who did some phenomenal acting. The man, he's one of my, I'm going to say top 5 favorite comedians. Like I said, I'm a comedian myself, so he's one of those comics that I definitely look up to. Pryor, Chris Rock, Bill Burr, Robin Williams, love Bill Burr. There's a lot of different comics I like for different reasons, but the main ones, well, I just have to do that list another time. So leave some comments down below. Let me know what you thought of this episode of The Mandalorian, The Believer, episode 7. Until next time, this is Hitman Thornton, your favorite motherfucking role model, the Buddhist with an attitude, aka Wookie Claws. Y'all love this. Pretty sexy. So until next time, peace out, biatches. And remember, stay zen, and this is the way.